Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for January the 15th, 2021. I believe I said 2020 on one of my recent streams, and I'll probably say it by accident several more times, so I apologize if I get the year wrong. 2021, you might as well call it the 14th month or the 13th month of 2020. Let's be real here. Anyways, SmackDown kicked off with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman backstage looking at the contract for the Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble. And Roman Reigns was a little bit upset about this contract. Paul Heyman had to tell him that it's the same contract for every single pay-per-view, same lawyer BS. But Reigns was not satisfied, and Heyman, he agreed with Reigns. He said he hates the contract too. It needs a stipulation to teach Adam Pearce about fear and respect. And Heyman said he'll handle it. We had our first match of the evening, which was Jey Uso versus Shinsuke Nakamura. But before the match, Jey cut a promo. He said, "Welcome to the Bloodline Show." Is that the name of the faction? We still don't have an official name for Roman Reigns' group. Bloodline was one of the rumored names. Maybe that will, in fact, be the name. He said that they run the show, not Adam Pearce, not Kevin Owens, nobody but them. And Jey talked about how Reigns has made Adam Pearce relevant for the very first time in his career, and Adam Pearce should be thanking Roman Reigns for this. Jey then announced that he will be entering the Royal Rumble, and he will win it, and he will go on to challenge either Drew McIntyre or Oldberg. He actually called him Oldberg. Nice little touch there. And he vowed to win the Universal Championship and have the Bloodline, or the WWE Championship, and have the Bloodline completely dominate. Andrew Alexander with a $2 super chat, first one of the evening. Thank you for that. Says, Jey actually acknowledged Oldberg. Yeah, I popped for that. I thought that was pretty funny. We then had Shinsuke Nakamura make his entrance back with his old music. So in case there was any doubt, he's got his old babyface music back that everybody would hum to. Glad to see him back out there with his old music. He then got in the ring and had a bit of a cringy line here, in my opinion. So he said that if Roman Reigns is the big dog, that makes Jey a little puppy. And there was canned laughter, which made it even cringier, in my opinion. I much preferred the Oldberg line. Anyways, we had the match between these guys. Shin was in control pretty early on, and that's when Cesaro's music hit. Cesaro, tag team partners with Shin. Cesaro made his way down to the ring and was on commentary during the match, and also entered the Royal Rumble and said he would challenge Roman Reigns if he did win the Rumble. Pretty good match between Shin and Jey. They went back and forth for a while. You had Jey countering a Kinshasa with a super kick and then went for his big top rope splash, but Nakamura got his knees up. However, Shin got sidestepped into the ring post and Jey rolled up Shin. However, when he was putting his feet on the ropes, referee Charles Robinson saw the cheating attempt. Jey started yelling at Robinson, got distracted, got hit with the Kinshasa, and Shinsuke Nakamura picked up the victory. Cesaro got in the ring, raised the hand of his friend Shin, and then Shin turned his back to Cesaro, and I believe this this camera shot was on purpose because they just kept it on the two of them, Shin looking towards the hard camera, Cesaro standing there behind him. And I was thinking Cesaro was going to jump him, but he did not attack his friend Shinsuke Nakamura. I like that camera shot there. If that was intentional, which I think it was, I thought that was very well done. And the one and only Caleb Jacobs says regarding the canned laughter from earlier, says, that laughter reminded me of WandaVision on Disney+. And Amanda says, Shinsuke was incredible tonight, damn. Colin Andrew says, good evening, boss man and the No DQ family. And Elan Brown says, Jey Uso is what, 2-10 since Roman Reigns dubbed him Main Event Jey. In the end, it doesn't really matter because once Jimmy comes back, they're going to be a tag team again and the focus can be on that. But I think we really need the Street Profits to win back those tag titles. And we'll talk about that in a minute here. Backstage, Sonya Deville, Adam Pearce's assistant, her and him were talking about the contract. And she said that she looked at some indie footage of him back in the day and said that she thinks he could do well against Roman Reigns. But Adam said he hasn't been that guy for a long time. Paul Heyman arrived with the contract, and the stipulation was a no DQ match. Hey, no DQ. I'm all for it. Pearce did decide to sign the contract. Heyman talked him into it, saying the no DQ stipulation is in Adam's favor. Adam was like, whatever, I know this is just a way to take me out, but do what you have to do. He signed it, and Heyman took his leave. So then we had Jey Uso backstage yelling at Charles Robinson. Robinson was like, you had your feet on the ropes. I had to do what I had to do. Jey Uso was not happy with what happened in that match because he's main event Uso and he should not be losing. We had the Street Profits interviewed about their title loss, and they said they're not scared of the Dirty Dogs, also known as Rudolph, also known as the Entertainment Dysfunction, ED. But Dawkins had to mention that they need to keep it PG, and they said they've been champions for 312 days, and even though they are down at the moment, they are still up and they want the smoke. So as I mentioned earlier, I think Profits need to get the titles back, especially if Jimmy Uso is returning soon. And no Rudolph on this show. They weren't even on the show, and they're the new tag team champions. But I'm guessing Royal Rumble will get the rematch. I don't think we needed a title change in the first place. Granted, the Street Profits held the titles for a while, but I think it would have been a little bit more impactful if the Usos beat the Street Profits after over a year as champions. Although, does it really count as a year, though? Because now, I could be completely off on this. I already forgot about how the whole thing was explained. But I thought when Street Profits traded the titles with New Day, that meant new reigns. Like, the Profits, they're the former Raw Tag Team Champions, and now they're the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. It's a new title reign. So, were they really champs for 312 days if technically those were two different title reigns? I don't know. It hurts my brain to even think about it. And Elan Brown says, SmackDown needs some more face tag teams. Yeah, that would be good. I think they could benefit from some more tag teams, period. And Caleb Jacobs says they were champions continuously for a year. Well, yeah, they were champions for a year, but they're technically two different title reigns. But whatever. I'm not going to make a big argument about it. We had Roman Reigns backstage talking to Apollo Crews. So the plot thickens. Maybe Apollo's going to become the next person to acknowledge the tribal chief, and we're going to get a full-blown Apollo heel turn. Reigns said that Apollo could learn something from him and Paul Heyman. Heyman brought the contract back, and Reigns was like, nah. He does not want a no DQ match. Well, that made me sad. But anyways, What Reigns really wanted was a last man standing match. Lastmanstanding.com. Not sure that has quite the ring to it, but yeah, Roman Reigns wants that match, and he sent Paul Heyman back to the drawing board. We had Natalya, the so-called boat, up against Liv Morgan. Tamina was out there with Natalya, so apparently they're paired up now. And Billie Kay was out there with Liv and Ruby Riott, all decked out in the punk rocker gear. And during the match, I mean, not much to say about it. Tamina yelled at Billie. Billie ended up running into the ring, distracting Liv Morgan, and Natalya fruit roll up, beat Liv Morgan to pick up the victory, and Liv was very upset at the so-called new Riot Squad member, Billie Kay. We had Rey Mysterio versus King Corbin with Dominic Mysterio out there on commentary, and Corbin, of course, got involved with what was going on the outside. He shoved Dominic. He countered the 619, hit the deep six, got a near fall, and then he taunted Dominic some more, took a cheap shot at Dominic, and then when Mysterio got the upper hand and was on the verge of possibly winning the match, Dominic, who, had a bit of a temper, ran into the ring, wanted to get some payback on Corbin. Rey had to stop his son from getting physically involved, and Corbin took advantage of this, hit the end of days to pick up the victory. Does this count as a stupid babyface or stupid babyface plural? Just because, well, first of all, Dominic, I guess because he's a young rookie, it's understandable that he would lose his temper and not think with his head. But yeah, basically King Corbin outsmarted them, knowing that this plan would work. If he attacked Dominic, Dominic would try to attack him, and Rey would get distracted. So, yeah, heels outsmarting the baby faces. Not sure how I feel about it. And, we keep getting these distraction finishes on the show, which gets a little bit redundant, in my opinion. Backstage, Rey tried to calm Dominic down and said he knows somebody that will take care of King Corbin. So I wonder what that means. Is it Buddy Murphy, who we haven't seen in a couple weeks? Is it Seth Rollins as a big swerve? Who knows? Backstage, Heyman approached Adam Pearce with the updated contract. I guess they work really fast with these contracts for the last man standing match at the pay-per-view, but Heyman wanted to make sure that the contract signing was done in the ring, because that's how you do it. We then had a brand new segment called the Ding Dong Hello Show, a talk show hosted by Bayley. She had a nice chair and a stool for her guest. I thought that was a cute touch. And she had a 380 days plaque to celebrate her run as champion. And she said, ding dong, hello. She came through the door. She introduced her guest, the EST of WWE, her GU-EST, Bianca Belair. Belair walked through the door. Very nice of her to do that. And she then sat in Bayley's chair, which Bayley did not appreciate. Bayley had to sit on the stool, but she decided to just stand for this. And Bayley wanted to know, what does EST stand for? Bianca talked about all of her various sports accomplishments, and Bayley was like, well, what have you accomplished in WWE? And Bianca said, well, you know what, let's fight right here, right now. And Bayley said, well, I already beat you 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. And then Bayley issued a different challenge, an obstacle course challenge, which Bianca Belair accepted. Why does this feel like a new version of the Street Profits versus Viking Raiders? If I can do something, or if you can do something, I can do it better. Whatever the hell it was. I feel like this is going to be a rehash of that, with them doing these various competitions. Just seems like a repeat of that to me, but maybe it'll turn out good. Andrew Alexander with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, what's with the weird camera filters on entrances? I think it's just to make the entrances unique and different and give each one its own vibe and differentiate it from the other ones. I think that's all there is to it. We had Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro, and earlier in the day, there was a little backstage segment to set up the match. Bryan was interviewed. He was there with Chad Gable and Otis. Bryan was training with them some more. He said there was no shame in losing to Shinsuke Nakamura, one of the best in the world. Cesaro then appeared and said, Bryan is not Shin's friend. Cesaro is Shin's friend. And Shin only shook hands with Bryan because Shin felt sorry for Bryan. And then we had the match, Bryan versus Cesaro. Cesaro clearly still a heel, and I guess it's just a matter of time when we'll see the split between Shin and Cesaro. A really good match here, although there was one point where Cesaro kind of had a bad landing on his head and neck, and he rolled to the outside. Bryan went for a kick, he missed and hit the ring post. So during the match, Cesaro worked over Bryan's leg, and Bryan worked over the arm of Cesaro. Cesaro's head also got split open. I'm not sure if it was from something on the outside, but he had a cut on the top of his head, and it went back and forth for a while. Bryan ended up losing the match from an uppercut followed by the neutralizer. So if WWE is building up Bryan for Roman Reigns, this is a strange way of doing it. But hey, Cesaro picks up a win. Bryan feels like a guy that's on his way out, that's putting over other people. Doesn't feel like a guy that WWE is building up for WrestleMania. So we'll see. Maybe Bryan enters number one and wins the whole thing, and that's how you rehab Bryan from all these losses. But yeah, if I was planning to have Bryan be in the main event of WrestleMania, I would have stopped having him job out months ago and would have been pushing him strongly. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this. Got a $2 super chat here, another one from Andrew Alexander. I very much appreciate it. He says, Cesaro versus Shinsuke Nakamura is imminent. Yeah, I could see something potentially happening at the Royal Rumble with them splitting up. I just hope Shin gets his championship match against Roman Reigns, maybe at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, or maybe whatever they do for the March pay-per-view, because it looks like WrestleMania is moving to April. I feel like that's being done possibly to be able to allow more fans in for WrestleMania if that's the route they're going. And I believe the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view was being pushed up a week from February 28th to the 21st, which, again, makes me think there's going to be something in March between those two pay-per-views. But we'll see. Question in the chat room, what happened to Aleister Black? Creative has nothing for him, bottom line. And people will speculate thinking that it has something to do with Zelina Vega, and it might, but we really don't know. But the fact of the matter is, it felt like WWE gave up on him before the whole Zelina Vega thing happened. I mean, back when he was still on Raw, seemed like they had no real direction for him, which is quite a shame. I mean, that guy, to me, build him up and push him towards Roman Reigns. I think Aleister Black would do really well, but what do I know? And I'm sorry, Wilson, with a $2 super chat, says Barry Horowitz deserves a Royal Rumble appearance. Hey, I'd be all for it, although I'm not really sure if it's the best idea in the COVID era. I think people might be disappointed with this Rumble, unless WWE is like, well, who cares if we have a couple of positive test results, like we got to bring in some legends. I'm having this feeling that WWE is just going to keep the main roster in the Royal Rumble and not have NXT guys and not have legends and outsiders coming in. I don't know. I feel like this year WWE will play it safe and just have it be strictly people on the main roster, which is going to be disappointing, but understandable if that's how it goes down. But we'll talk more about the Royal Rumble when we do the Royal Rumble predictions. I mean, I would love to see a couple surprises, but not if it potentially compromises the health and well-being of everybody, you know, doing a 30-man match during a pandemic as it is with your main roster. It's a little risky, even though everybody gets tested. You could always have those false negatives. Moving on here, we had Carmella backstage with Reggie, and once again said that Sasha cannot touch her and wanted to know where Sasha was. And pretty much on cue, Sasha showed up, shoved Carmella. Reggie protected Carmella, and Sasha said Carmella will get a rematch, but only when Sasha gets a match with Reggie first. And Carmella was basically nodding at that, and I guess we'll get that match at some point. Sasha versus Reggie, intergender match on SmackDown. We had Apollo versus Sami Zayn, and we had some footage shown from Talking Smack with Paul Heyman trying to motivate Apollo Crews. You had Biggie out there on commentary. I'm thinking it's just becoming a little bit too much with every match having to have somebody on commentary. Biggie was there lying on a couch. He was wearing his Ghostbusters Christmas sweater. Zayn was talking trash to Biggie, and Zayn attempted to win with a roll-up, and kind of similar to earlier in the show with Jey Uso trying to win by cheating and the referee catching it. Same thing here. Zayn was caught in the act, yelled at the referee. Same thing as with what Jey was doing to Charles Robinson. And then Apollo rolled up Zayn, used the tights, same thing that Zayn did. However, the referee did not see this, and Apollo picked up the victory. And after the match, Apollo had some words with Big E, and I guess you win one match, you're right back in the title picture. So next week, it's Apollo versus Big E again for the Intercontinental Championship. I almost said U.S. title, but, you know, they're pretty much the same thing. And yeah, another Sami Zayn conspiracy, as Dr. NXT Scorpio points out. And yeah, I like where they're going with Apollo, but it just feels weird that there's not more people that can face Big E for the championship. Like, do you really only have two people in the running for the Intercontinental title, Sami Zayn and Apollo? Just saying. But that's typical WWE, like all the rematches, yada, yada, yada. We had the final segment, which was the contract signing. Roman Reigns once again sitting at the head of the table, looking very intimidating. Adam Pearce looking nervous. And they signed the contracts. Adam Pearce said he waited all night for Reigns to sign. And at this point, I knew he swerved him. It's not actually going to be Adam Pearce. Pearce walked to the backstage area, but before he got to the back, he started limping. And he got on the mic, and the mic was acting up here a little bit, like some kind of technical problem. But basically, he said that injuries happen, and there's always cards subject to change. And he said he doesn't think he's going to be medically cleared to compete at the pay-per-view, and thus, just like it says in every WWE contract, he can pick a suitable replacement. And that replacement was Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens came out, signed the contract. I'm not sure where he signed it because Adam Pearce signed it, so I guess Owens just signed it on the side of the paper. I'm not sure, but yeah, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, last man standing match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, and I'm actually a little disappointed because I was hoping for Adam Pearce. Like, I'm sure Reigns and Owens will be good and whatnot, but we all know Reigns is winning, although maybe not. You never know. We could always see Owens get a brief title run and Reigns wins it back, but I mean, there's pretty much no chance in hell Reigns is going into WrestleMania not the champ. But yeah, we're getting Reigns versus Owens 3, which was pretty much expected. But man, I was hoping to see Adam Pearce. Like I think WWE could have pulled that off, but oh well. And what's funny is I think more people were wanting to see Nakamura versus Reigns than Owens versus Reigns. I put up a poll on my personal Twitter, and the majority of the votes went to Nakamura. Between Pearce, Nakamura, and Owens, more people voted for Nakamura. I'm hopeful we'll still see that match, maybe, again, as I mentioned, at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, or if they do a March pay-per-view, they could do something with those guys for that. But yeah, I would like to see Nakamura get his opportunity. Maybe Nakamura wins the Rumble again. Never say never, I suppose. The Game is on 100 with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, it seems WWE will copy the Super Bowl for fan seating. Yeah, if WWE does have an audience, I think it'll be similar to whatever the Super Bowl does. Although, from my understanding, they still don't know how the fan situation is going to be at the Super Bowl. But I'm guessing it'll be, the 25% capacity that we've seen at other football games. And WWE, if they decide to go that route, will likely follow suit unless there's some kind of drastic drop in COVID cases over the next couple months. In that case, they might try to up it to like 50%. Or whatever they do, they'll try to say, well, we had more people than the Super Bowl, and they'll make up some number or try to get more people in there and say they outdrew the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous, but that's something WWE could very well end up doing. Or they may just end up doing a Thunderdome show. Anything at this point, I think, is on the table. Let's see the comments here. Wonka TV says, I know, bro, I wanted to see Scrap Daddy too. And Crash41596 says, poor Shin. And Gary says, I agree, the booking makes no sense yet again. And Dr. NXT Scorpio says, I thought it was going to be a triple threat match. Show was fine, but I was a little let down. I don't think it was quite as good as some of the other SmackDowns in recent weeks. It was all right. Like, I'm hovering B-, C+, somewhere in that area. Like, even the Roman stuff I thought was not stellar this week. I thought it was good, but, not as good as other weeks. So, I am going to go with a B-. But, yeah, I was almost wanting to see something like Adam Pearce versus Roman Reigns in an actual match. So let's see what you guys thought. And we had some really good matches on the show too. Bryan and Cesaro was really good. And Shin and Jay was really good too. MVP Kev with a C+, Mike B with a B-, Steve-O with a B-, Israel Diaz with a C+, CC Drink B+, Mr. Heavy Metal Hero Dude with a B+, Matt Helms with a B-, Amanda with a B, Mohammed with a C, Calvin with a B-, and Todd Tate gives it a C. Wonka TV with a B-. And Mark says B- because no Adam Pearce match. I just want to see some different matches. I'm tired of all the rematches constantly. Like, I want to see a variety. Like, I'd like to see Roman Reigns versus Adam Pearce, Reigns versus Nakamura. Just some different matches. Kevin Owens is great and all, but I'm not sure what else they can do at this point. They've done all these crazy things, last man standing. I'm sure it'll be really good, but I guess I was just expecting, a surprise or something different. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest wrestling news and rumors. Check out the Wrestling Trivia Challenge return. It's up on the No DQ YouTube channel. Hell of a match between Jeff Meacham, Chris Cass, and David Diaz. I recommend checking that out. There were a little bit of technical issues at the beginning, but once it got going, everything was fine. Check that out, and have a great weekend, everyone. I hope you all stay positive, be safe, and I will see you guys next time.